Hi, welcome back to Look Ma No Hands. My name is Linda, and this is Season 2, Episode 3. As usual, I'll be talking about what I'm wearing, what I'm stitching, what I'm reading, what I'm watching, and I'll close things out with a little segment I like to call Fancy Footwork. Before I get into all of that, though, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that's been leaving comments. Everybody's been very kind and encouraging. I really like to hear what you guys are all working on and reading, and I just really enjoy the interaction, so keep it coming. Okay, so with that, what I'm wearing this week is just a little wrap that I made from a pattern by Olga Poltava. The pattern is called How to Crochet Lacy Summer Scarf with Treble Shells. I'll be sure to link the video in the description box below. One of the things I really liked about what she did with that particular pattern, and I think most of her patterns, is she gives the stitch count so that you can make it wider or more narrow. And I believe I went a little bit wider than what she had done in her original video, and made it long enough that I could fold it in half and run a seam to turn it into kind of a poncho. Scarves and shawls and things like that don't work really great for me because I don't have any way to like hold them on. So most often I just turn everything into a poncho. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. On to what I'm stitching. So last week, you'll remember I was working on my project for the make-along with Juan the Yarn Addict, and I finished. So I'll just give you a little sneak peek here of the finish, and then I will be sure to include the picture of the finished product. So I was happy with how I used up the little odds and ends bits of purple and blue yarn that I have. I don't think I have any blue left, at least not scraps anyway. I used up a good number of my purple scraps, and I finished off the border of the blanket using purple, blue, white, and black, just to kind of have a good variation of the colors. I didn't want any two colors the same next to each other. So like I didn't want two purples or two blues. So I alternated purple, blue, and then white and black as I went around the outside edge of the blanket. So that's all finished. And then when I finished that, you know, you can't be without a whip. So I picked up a project that I had started back in like maybe late November, early December, that I thought would be a great kind of transition from winter to spring, maybe hopefully getting it done in time for Valentine's Day, because the color scheme is very Valentine. I'm doing granny squares in shades of, well, not shades of, in white, pink, taupe, red, the squares are about 10 inches, and I'm gonna just make as many as I can make with the yarn that I have and then join them together. I'm leaning towards joining them with like a kind of a powder blue color, a light blue color, just to give a little contrast. I think it'll make a nice finish to the blanket. Again, I'm just using what I have in stash. I'm trying really hard to stash down, work through all of what I have. My stash is an inherited stash, so most of the yarn that's there is stuff that I had no say in what's there, but I really enjoy the challenge of working through that stash and finding interesting patterns and projects to use up the yarn that I have. So this one is exciting because it's 4 more large skeins being used up. So yeah, it's cool. Okay, so let's jump into what I've been reading. I started reading Shopgirl by Steve Martin last week, finished that off this week. It was everything I could have expected and more from Steve Martin. There was definitely elements of humor in there, but he goes much deeper, talking about some romantic relationships, family dynamics. He touches on mental health issues and PTSD with a couple of his characters. So it definitely was a very well-rounded, deep book. You can feel for the characters because they're just very dynamic, multifaceted characters. Mirabelle is a character that you kind of hate to love because you can just see places in her character that she's really hurting. And so she makes decisions that you know they're going to derail, but you hope that things work out for her and see her growth. So it was a good read. After reading that kind of a deep book, a little heavy, I switched over and picked up a book that I've read in the past that I really enjoyed, Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes. If you don't know, Shonda Rhimes is the creator of Grey's Anatomy, which is one of my favorite shows. In this book, she talks about how through all of her fame and success, she finds it difficult to kind of jump into that life and really embrace being successful. And so she avoids a lot of just events that you would think someone of that caliber to be involved in, whether it be awards shows or appearances on talk shows and things like that. She's hesitant to do those things. And this book kind of stems from a conversation she had with her sister, where she was telling her sister about an event she had been invited to, but she didn't think she was going to go to. And her sister says to her, "You never say yes to anything." And that kind of hit her in a way that like only a sibling can like say something like that and really like knock you for a loop. It wasn't really said with malice. It was just kind of an offhand comment, but coming from your sister, it cut deep. So she took that into account and decided that she was going to spend an entire year saying yes. Anything that came her way, she was going to say yes to it. And in doing that, she set herself up for saying yes to things that terrified her. But in the end, I think it seems like she really felt her own growth. And the Year of Yes turned out to be a big success for her personally. So definitely something that I enjoyed reading enough that I read it a second time. Her writing is just, as I listened to this as an audiobook, and just listening to it and thinking about like her style and how she can kind of get you into the story. I laughed out loud at certain parts. She had me crying at other parts. I'm like, this is just like an episode of Grey's Anatomy, except it's her real life. And so that hits even harder because it's not just characters she's made up, it's her. And so yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I enjoy most of the programs she writes. They're really interesting, and I just like how she develops characters, and I like how she talked about who she is as a creative. So if you want to get some insight into other people and like how they are creative and things like that, I love reading memoirs and just books like this because it really helps me understand the people who I go to for entertainment and things like that. It really is something that I enjoy reading, especially listening to an audiobook read by that author. It makes me feel like they're in the room with me and they're telling the story. And yeah, that's just me, just how I like to read, listen to audiobooks and things like that. It's just my style. I don't have anything in the works right now for what I'm reading. I kind of hit like a wall in terms of what I'm gonna read, so you'll have to stay tuned next week to see if I found something that strikes my fancy or if I am in a reading rut. Hopefully I'll find something that I can pick up here in a day or so and really get into it, but we'll see. This week what I'm watching is When Calls the Heart. I love all the antics on the Hallmark channels. When Calls the Heart, like, it just, there's humor and romance. Like, what can't you love about that, right? I'm watching The Way Home, the drama in that, and I really enjoy the sci-fi element that they've pulled in. The characters have evolved really nicely over the past few seasons, and I just enjoy it. Like, yeah, it's just a fun show to watch. Oftentimes I sit down after the show and talk with my mom about it, and we trade ideas of what we think is happening, what's going to come next. And then of course my daytime drama, can't forget General Hospital, although I did forget last week. I just really like how so many of the characters have been around for decades. It was sad this week to hear of the passing of Leslie Charleson, kind of one of the last of the OGs for the show. I know they've been kind of keeping her in the wings with her health and things like that. Her character is definitely still part of the storyline. It will be interesting to see how they wrap up that character. I know they'll do a great job with it, but it definitely is difficult to kind of see the end of an era in the passing of that actress. Shifting Gears is another program that I've been watching. This is ironically enough, the third week, I think, for the show. So my son and I have watched that. Gotta have a little dose of weekly sitcom in my life. I enjoy Tim Allen. He's pretty funny, and Kat Dennings is doing a great job acting opposite him. The father-daughter dynamic there is pretty exciting. So yeah, if you need a good laugh, it's a nice little half-hour sitcom for you to take a look at and see. I think you'll enjoy it. All right. Okay, for fancy footwork this week, it's going to be a little bit of like a continuation from last week. Last week's fancy footwork was how I put on nail polish. So this week I thought, what better thing to show than how I remove the nail polish. Since it was glitter nail polish, I have to use the little bit more harsh acetone remover. But yeah, I'll show you guys how I do that. Well, folks, that's all she wrote. Thanks for stopping by again. Thanks for hitting me up for the first time if this is your first time here. I really appreciate all the comments. Like I said, everybody's been so kind, so encouraging. Definitely, like, just, I love hearing about what you're reading, what you're up to. So just go ahead and drop a line in the comments if you feel so inclined. If you're not subscribed yet and you're back here for episode 3, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you won't miss if and when episode 4 comes out. It will. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I appreciate everybody stopping in, and I hope to hear from you soon.